Right guys, so it has come to the grand total of Alright guys, Pitbikesonic here, and in today's video we are going to talk about how much it's going to cost you to go pit bike racing in 2023. Before we start the video guys, I just want to say a happy new year to all my subscribers, friends, family and sponsors. I'm really sorry for letting you guys down, not doing the Moped Mayhem. I came over with a horrendous stomach bug and I was just bedbound for 2 days. I could do nothing. And however much I tried to get that van packed, get ready to go, I had no chance of doing an endurance race around Teesside. I was just completely buggered, shall we say. I couldn't do anything. I'm doing it in the polite words as necessary, but I just couldn't do it. So I really apologise to everyone who was hoping to see us there, and especially to the team, Chris and Reese, who I let down. Chris managed to find a team, but really apologise to Reese for letting you guys down and not be able to do the Moped Mayhem. If any of you know me, you know how ill I must have been to be able to not go to do a bike race, because I will do anything to do racing. Even if it puts me in massive debt, missing things that I should be doing, I'll always go racing. But sadly, yeah, I just couldn't beat this illness and it got the better of me. Must be something to do with age, you know, 32 now, so it's catching up with me. Anyway, we will be back on track on Wednesday at Ella Park, but we'll talk about that later. Let's talk about how much it's going to cost you to go racing in 2023. Right, so if you look at videos I've done previously, there is a video where you can find me talking about how much it costs to start pit biking from scratch for a whole season's racing. So that's from buying the bike to getting on the track and going racing. Not going to do that in today's video. Today we're going to talk about how much it costs once you've bought everything and how much it costs for a single weekend's racing, either if you're racing in B&B, well, if you're racing in Fab, or you're racing at Nora Sport. Obviously, some of these are going to change a little bit because entry fees can be different prices for different championships, but I've based this on the Fab Championship that I've raced in. I'll find out how much it costs to race in the B&B Championship this year when I go to Ella and Three Sisters, which I'm really looking forward on doing. Right guys, before you've even got to the track, you're going to have to fill up your vehicle and get fuel for the bike and your generator before you even get to the track. So we're going to talk about that first. Fuel prices aren't cheap at the moment, as we know. But obviously, it's going to be different for everyone, because you could have a track like me, like Ella Park, that takes me 15 minutes to go. I'll put a little map in the screen here. It takes me 15 minutes to go to. So it's extremely cheap, that race meeting for me on fuel. I probably have to put a tenner in my van to get back and forward. On the other flip side though, there's Rara, which takes me about 6 hours to get to and is over 300 miles. I think it is close to 300 miles. It might just be under, but it's going to be 300, high 200 miles. So that costs me maybe a tank and a half to be able to get there and back. So yeah, that's going to cost me a good 150, 160 quid in fuel. But for this, we're going to base it on a full tank and the middle track for me to get to, which is Wilton Mills, which I would say in a caddy van, maybe just under a full tank to get there and back, and it's going to cost me around £100. Next up, you've got fuel for the bike. Best things about pit bike, they don't drink a lot of fuel. This CW has a tiny tank, which I said we were going to struggle with the Moped Mayhem. But I reckon for a weekend's racing, you can do it on V-Power. Make sure you always get V-Power or super unleaded. Don't use the cheap stuff. You want to get as much power out of your tiny little engine as possible. I reckon it's going to cost you about 20 quid for the weekend in fuel to keep you going Friday, Saturday and Sunday on a pit bike. That's roughly what I stick in a jerry can to get me through the weekend. Fuel for the generator, it's probably going to cost you about a tenner for the weekend with having your tyre warmers on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So in total, for your fuel for the weekend, you're looking about 130 quid. There again, it's going to be different for different tracks, whether you're like me, going to Rara, or you're going around the corner like me to Ella Park. So you just got to factor all of that into consideration. Next up, guys, what you're going to need to get on track, the entry fee. So what it costs you to be able to enter for B&B, Fab or Nora Sport or whatever championship you're running, you're going to have to pay an entry fee. So for Fab racing, I know it's £120 for Saturday and Sunday. So at Fab, that gets you 1 practice, 2 qualifying, a race on Saturday, morning warm-up, and then another 2 races on Sunday. So that's about 120 quid for that. It might go up in price this year. Guys, everything does. It wouldn't surprise me if it goes up another tenner this year. But it is about 120 quid for the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Also, if you're new to the sport, you're going to want to do Friday practice, because Friday practice, you need to learn the track. You don't want to be turning up on Saturday with 1 practice session and then you're straight into first qualifying. It's not good. So try and do Friday practice if you can. I understand it's really hard to get it off work, but Friday practice is key. You will get about 6 sessions, about 6-10 minute sessions, and it gives you loads of time to learn the track. Friday practice at Fab costs you about 40 quid, and you can also enter in another class on Friday for just £20. So you could go out with Moto Team and Open, and you can go out with the pit bike. So you could land up having 8 classes. You can also do this on the Saturday and Sunday, pay a little extra and go out and do the Open class as well to get more track time. It really helps, especially if you're learning the track and learning your bike. It's a little cost extra. I think it's about 40 quid to do an extra class, and I think it's an extra 20 quid to do the extra practice on Friday. So your entry fees for a weekend, you're looking about 160 quid with Friday practice. But obviously you can bump that up a bit if you decide to do the extra class on Friday or do the extra race class on a Saturday and Sunday. So it could go up to about 250 all in eventually, but it's down to you guys whether you want to do that extra track time. Trust me guys, it is knackering if you do 2 classes. Next up for the weekend, guys, you're going to need something to eat. You're going to have to eat for the weekend, whether you're using burger vans, you've got a microwave in your camper van or caravan, or you're going out to get food. Really depends how you're going to do it. 90% of the tracks all have burger vans and food available from them, or they have cafes. I know Clay Pigeon has a very nice cafe, so does Red Lodge, so does Rara, and so does Ella. So there is plenty of food on site, but it's always cheaper, guys, to try and bring it yourself. If you ever watch any of my race vlogs, guys, you like to see that we like to all the Pitbike 140 lads, we all like to go to Wetherspoons on a Saturday night, have a little drink and have a laugh and talk about the day's racing and just have a good time. So Wetherspoons is definitely a cheap way of getting a meal down you at a race weekend, and you can have a good time as well. But also in the summer, it is brilliant to have a barbecue as well, and it's cheap and it's real good for getting everyone together in the evening and having a good time. For a single person, I would say your food on the weekend, you're roughly going to spend about 60 quid. Depends how much alcohol you drink over the weekend as well, but I don't advise to drink too much. You're there for racing, guys. What I'm going to do for this video as well, guys, I'm going to budget in a set of tyres. Now, I understand you're not going to use a new set of tyres every weekend, so you might be able to take this out of the bill. A set of tyres for the weekend in any sort of compound with fitting, or if you're getting them delivered to your house before the race meeting, you're looking at about £150. So you can get them at the race meetings, at B&B meetings, it will be Parker Racing selling them. At Fab race meetings, it will be Mini Moto Racing selling them. All the prices from everyone is roughly about the same. There might be a £5 difference here or there, but you're looking at about 150 quid for a set of tyres. For if you're getting any for the race weekend. Obviously, you might not be getting them. Like I said, I've always said I swap tyres over every 2 race meetings, and if there is a track day in between, I'll use them as well. But obviously, you've got to factor in, this is England, you might have a wet race meeting, you might have a damp race meeting, so you might not use them as much as a full 2 race meetings. So you've got to remember that as well, guys. Next up, guys, odds and sods. So crash damage, and guys, especially when you're new to pit biking, you always leave something behind and you land up having to buy it at the track or at your local shops, whether it's to do with a bike or something that you forgot, like the kettle or the stove or something like that. You always forget it on your first year. So I've just factored in things for like crash damage. Pit bikes crash extremely well. Unless you need a new engine for the weekend, you can generally get away with not having to do a lot. But maybe you might break a lever or just break something stupid. Or like I said, forget something that you've left at home. I've budgeted in 50 quid around for just odds and sods, things you may forget or crash damage. So always budget yourself a little bit of money just in case you forget or you crash. Right guys, so that's all the things I think you will need over a race weekend in 2023 to go pit bike racing. Obviously, some weekends might be a lot cheaper. You might not need a set of tyres. you might only be down the road from the racetrack. But this is what I gauge as an average of what you'll need to spend over a race weekend pit biking in 2023. Right guys, so it has come to the grand total of £540. When you think about it, 8 rounds for the year sounds quite a lot of money. But when you think of what it would cost to go big racing in 2023, I reckon that is half the price. I reckon a Friday practice and your entry fee for the weekend would come to roughly that total for a big bike race weekend at, say, Bempsey or any other club championship. So you really are saving yourself a lot of money, and that is before you think how much cheaper the bikes are and how much cheaper they are to run, and that's what we're not thinking about this. We're just thinking about your cost for a race weekend. Cheers guys for watching. I hope this video was very helpful for you, especially for you new guys who are getting into the pit bike world and finding about how much it's going to cost you throughout the season. Like I said, there is another video on my YouTube site. There's a picture of it there. If you go down the list, you will find it, and you can find out how much it's going to cost you if you're starting from scratch. But this was just a weekend rough gauge of how much it's going to cost you for a weekend's racing a mini bike pit bike in 2023. Guys, I'd really appreciate if you could subscribe to the channel. My goal for this year is to get to 2,000 subscribers. We're about 1,350 at the moment. If we could get to 2,000, that would be absolutely amazing. Thank you guys for watching this video. We'll be at Ella on Wednesday for the first track day of 2023. Massive thank you for Ella for supporting me for another season and allowing me to hone my skills on my CW pit bike. So guys, remember to hit that subscribe button here, and to watch some more videos, hit this button here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you at Ella Park on Wednesday. Bye-bye.